In this world, you don't win, you don't level up, you don't even stay sane. You just hold onto your torch, clutch your notes, and hope the cultist in the corner doesn't offer you a pamphlet. Welcome to my daughter's keeper, where the only thing thinner than the veil between the worlds is my patience. And remember, sanity is relative, especially when your uncle is Nyarlathotep. There's a kind of silence you only hear in the countryside. Not peaceful silence. Watching silence. The sort that settles behind your eyes and makes you think you've forgotten something. Something important. Tonight we take the first step off the beaten path. A traveller, alone, seeking a new life, a fresh start. But the train never quite made it to the station, did it? Now there's only the road, the dark, and the flames flickering higher in the distance. This is Alone Against the Flames, a solo scenario for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. One investigator, one path through the unknown, and maybe, just maybe, one terrible truth waiting at the end of it. The keeper is ready, the dice have no mercy. Let the firelight guide you, if it is firelight at all. The sun is high in the sky, a merciless ball of heat. You feel scorched by the time you reach the bus halt in front of Osborne's drugstore. It's a relief to put down your heavy case and take off your hat for a moment. You fan your face. It's been a long summer here in your hometown, and yet a curiously empty one. You look across the street at the grubby butcher shop, the grocer's with its faded awning, and the shabby tobacconist. Mistrustful faces glare at you as they pass, eyeing your clothes and luggage. It was your parents' choice to live here, not yours. You were happy down south as a child amongst Providence's white-walled houses and leafy churchyards. Perhaps this new job in Arkham will supply the change you need. Yet everybody you know in the world lives here. You know nobody in Arkham, not one soul. You ask yourself one last time if you are doing the right thing. The answer is here. None of your supposed friends have come to see you off. You are alone. Whatever challenges lie in Arkham, it will be a new life, and a brave one. A small grey motor coach approaches and rattles to a stop. You put your hat back on and pick up your case. Two young men with sullen expressions alight from the coach. One looks you up and down before heading away. The driver also steps down, glancing at you before crossing the road to visit the tobacconist's. When he returns, he is rolling a cigarette between his yellowed fingers. He gives it a final twist and examines you as he reaches for his matchbox. He is a thin man in his 50s, dressed in a stained shirt with the bus company emblem. Yet his eyes are sharp in their dark sockets. Where to? You show him your ticket for Ossipee. From there you will be able to connect to Rochester and Portsmouth, before the coastal line to Newburyport, and finally Arkham. You should be able to afford a rail ticket for at least some of the way. Otherwise, this will be the first of many long bus trips. Uh-huh. The driver scratches the match and lights the end of his cigarette. The end flares as he takes a draw, then he exhales and gestures to the back of the coach. Luggage rack's up there. Now the scenario calls for you to actually stat out your character. Now, before now when we've played, we've discussed your characters, your profession, but we've never actually have you build your own character from scratch, have we?
No.
And of course, because this is the starter set, this is the perfect opportunity to learn that process, and we're going to go through that now. If we look at the character investigation sheet, at the top you have spaces for the 8 characteristics. Strength, constitution, power, dexterity, appearance, size, intelligence, education. We need to allocate to these what I've always thought of as the convention rules. So you have 40, 3 lots of 50, 2 lots of 60, a 70 and 80. What do you want to be your top scoring one? Where should we put your 80, most of your points?
My education.
Yep. Right, and where should we put your 70 pointer? Any idea where you want that to go?
My dexterity. I can't say it.
Dexterity.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've opened up the sheet for you. If you want to assign the rest of your values a moment, I'll give you a minute to do that, and then we can continue.
Okay.
The driver smokes and watches you drag your case to the back of the motor coach. The rack is set inconveniently high on the vehicle. You get a grip on the heavier case. Now, it says here, if your size is 40, you've got one choice. If your size is greater than that, you've got a different choice. Now, we've just created your character sheet.
Yeah.
So let's have another look at that in a minute. And your size is 40.
Okay.
So let's find out what happens now. You struggle for a few seconds before the driver comes up beside you and lends a hand, still puffing on a cigarette. Heavy bags for a small one, huh? He remarks. You judge it best just to respond with a simple thanks. The driver flicks his cigarette into the gutter and steps into the motor coach. Its engine coughs to life, you board, grateful that you will be the only passenger for the initial part of your trip, at least. With mixed emotions, you watch from the window as the tired avenues of your old home slip behind you, receding into the distance. For a few minutes, you can still see the church spire over the brow of a low hill. Then the road dips, and it too is gone. Arkham is your new home. You will travel there and make a new start. Right, you can see that there are 2 smaller boxes next to your characteristic values. Because we're using an auto-calculation sheet, you can see that the half value and fifth value have already been put in for you.
Okay.
That's not a problem. To the right of your characteristics, you will see that you've got your sanity record and your magic points available. Beginning sanity is equal to your power. Let's have a look and see where that puts you. That means your sanity is 60, which is very good indeed.
Okay.
And your magic points will be your power divided by 5, which means you have 12 magic points. We'll just go ahead to the next step. The coach putters through the countryside. At first, the interior is stifling and your stomach lurches with every bend in the road. However, the driver opens his window, and by switching seats, you find a spot where the breeze hits your face. Soon you relax into the journey, observing the quaint little hamlets that the coach serves. A heavy-set woman boards at one settlement and gives you a polite nod. She gets off at the next one. The road rises a little, passing cornfields and orchards. The leaves are turning, the trees are alive with glorious reds and golds. You have just begun to doze when the driver takes a tight bend at speed. Let's get and fill in the rest of your character sheet a moment, shall we?
Okay.
Right, we need to add size and constitution together and divide by 10, rounding it down. And this is the starting value of your hit points, which makes it 9. That's a nice easy one. You also have to roll for your luck score. Now that, if you click the roll 3d6, and then we can multiply that by 5, which gives you a beginning luck score of, ooh, nice. That's 75 luck points. Very nice indeed.
Okay.
I want you to make me a dice roll, which will be based on your dexterity.
Okay.
So roll the D100, and then we'll see what score you get.
Okay,
Can you see that?
yeah.
There you go. 65.
Okay.
As you well know, in Call of Cthulhu, you're always looking to get a roll which is lower than your score on your sheet.
Yes.
That's a 65 on a 70. That is a pass.
Yay.
A desperate yell awakens you. You feel yourself slide from the seat as the driver spins the wheel and the motor coach plunges off the road. You grab hold of the seat in front just in time to prevent a painful fall. The coach stops with a thump. Now you see what has happened. A Fortune tractor has stopped in the road, and your driver had to swerve to avoid the steel obstacle. He leaps from his seat into the road, unleashing a string of curses at the farmer. You take a moment to catch your breath. Perhaps you should offer assistance? But the driver has already returned. He backs the coach up a little and threads it around the tractor, glaring at the farmer. You resume your journey. The driver takes the curves with more caution than before. He glares over his shoulder at you a couple of times. "Sorry about before," he says. "That fella was dumber than a hog. I'm Silas. What's your name?" The accident was at least as much Silas's fault as it was the farmer's. But it doesn't seem shrewd to antagonize the man while he is driving you through the middle of nowhere. Right, now we get the chance to make up a name for your character and record it on the investigation sheet. You may add your age as well, which for the purposes of this adventure should be between 23 and 36. We already discussed this, we're going to make you 23. But the important thing is, what is this character's name?
I want to be Amanda.
The coach turns onto a narrow road, which weaves uphill through woodland. Silas becomes chatty. "Going to Arkham, eh? Can't say I've ever heard of the place. Went to Boston once. Didn't like it. Too much hustle and bustle. You got family there? Someone special waiting?" The afternoon is wearing on. You see no harm in confiding in Silas about your new life.
I'm just going one for a job, that's all.
A new job, eh? What's your line? This scenario allows for a small choice of occupations for you to choose from. You can choose from an antiquarian, a doctor of medicine, a journalist, a private investigator, or a professor. What do you feel like going for?
I'm a professor.
Professor it is then. You explain you are joining the faculty of the renowned Miskatonic University. It's only a junior position with teaching and tutoring duties, but the institution is well regarded. Who knows where the appointment might lead? A symposium, a visiting lectureship, even one of its world-spanning expeditions. Huh. Silas wrinkles his nose. I had enough book learning when I was younger. Still, I suppose it's well enough for those who likes it. Now we get to start picking your other skills.
Okay.
Now you've got a credit rating. Let's have a look at skills. Here we go. Your credit rating, wherever it is 30 before we do anything else.
Okay.
Because you've chosen Professor, your key skills are library use, other language, which you get to choose,
Yay.
as well as your own language, obviously, psychology. You may also pick 4 other skills, except for Cthulhu Mythos, obviously, to whatever your personal skills want to be. Okay? Now, right, I think we've got all that sorted out, so let us continue. You realize Silas hasn't made a stop since the incident with the tractor. However, your thoughts are interrupted as the road crests a ridge and you are treated to a magnificent view of the vista below. A creek snakes through the valley, breaking the rich autumn palette of the tree line. In the distance, the white mountains rise into hazy cloud. There is no settlement, not even a cabin as far as the eye can see. Birds drift through the treetops, and you can just make out what might be 2 white-tailed deer lingering by the water. Perhaps you are making a mistake by moving to the city. Could you survive on your own in this lush wilderness? Right, you have base in most of your skills, which is listed in the brackets after the skill name on the investigator sheet. For instance, you have 20% in climb and a base dodge, which is equal to half your dexterity. You can now choose 4 skills which are not your occupation skills or Cthulhu Mythos. These are your personal interest skills, and you can boost all of these by 20 points.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a moment to do that, and then we will continue.
Okay.
The motor coach rattles on through the hills, and Silas lapses into silence. The sky darkens behind you, pink tinting the clouds as the sun descends. Finally, a welcome sight comes into view, a settlement on the crest of a hill. This doesn't look like the pictures you've seen of Ossipee, but perhaps you can persuade Silas to stop while you stretch your legs. Minutes later, a harsh stuttering comes from the engine and interrupts your reverie. Silas frowns and rattles the gear stick. The motor coach falters in its ascent. Silas utters a curse you don't recognize and grinds his teeth, struggling with the wheel. You seem to inch up the hill until you reach the first buildings, low dwellings constructed from rough red stone. Silas wrestles the coach into a small bay off the road. He scrambles from his seat and makes for the engine compartment. You've got the chance to make another dice roll here.
Okay.
Based on your skills, you can choose to use Drive Auto or Psychology to make this roll.
Okay.
Your Psychology, however, will need to be a hard success, which means you would have to get a score below 30. So you've got a choice there. You need about 30, a score of about 30. So which one do you think you're more likely to get? You can choose your driving skill or your psychology skill. Because
my driving skill.
Okay, driving skill. 21!
Hey!
Either way round, you've succeeded. Now, you chose your Drive Auto on that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's see what it says. The grinding noise you heard could, of course, indicate engine trouble. But they also seem consistent with bad gear selection and incorrect declutching. It seems highly unlikely that an experienced coach driver would suddenly get this wrong, even after a long day's drive. If this is a ruse to make you spend your time and money in a local shop, Silas will be sadly disappointed in your purchasing power. On your investigator sheet, check the little box next to the word Drive Auto, and if you successfully complete this adventure, you will have the opportunity to upgrade that skill.
Okay.
Based on what you learned checking out Silas's bad driving. Silas opens the engine compartment and sticks his head in. The hot metal pops and sizzles. He pokes at various components, then withdraws and wipes his brow, smearing it with dark grease. I ain't sure what's wrong. Might be the oil pressure. Might be something knocked off kilter when we took that spill. Can't do much till the engine's cooled neither. And with the falling light, I reckon we're gonna be here through the night. He wipes his hand with a rag. The shadows from your surroundings are already long, and the air is chilly. You feel stiff from the journey, and a night in the rickety coach sounds unappealing. Silas sees your dismay. This here's Emberhead, miles from any place. I only come through twice a week, but the folks are good people here. May Ledbetter keeps a spare room. She'll look after you. Up that alley, turn right, first house on the left. He scratches his cheek, looks again into the engine compartment, and spits on the ground. Meet me back here at 8 in the morning, and we'll see how we stand. You've got some options here. You can choose to go from a letters. You can ask Silas where he'll spend the night, or you can challenge him about breakdowns. What do you want to do?
I want to go to the woman's house. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, Meta. Yeah. So we'll just head straight to the place he suggested.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. You drag your cases between the sullen buildings. You feel surprisingly weary, considering you spent all day sitting down. Silas's directions lead you to a modest dwelling with a slate roof. A nameplate reads Ledbetter, and underneath a sign in neat copper plate reads Lodging Room. The lane around you is gloomy, but a lamp flickers in the window. A breeze chills your face. You're not about to begin your new life by sleeping in the street. You rap on the weather-beaten door. After a moment, you hear footsteps inside the house. A bolt is drawn back, and the wooden door swings open. A figure with loose curls in a rough-looking house dress peers at you. Her gaze takes in your travelling suit and your cases. Her voice has a slight Irish lilt to it. Hello. Should I have taken it you're looking for a room for the night?
Yes, I am.
You inquire as to her rates, suppressing a grimace. As far as you've seen, the village doesn't offer much in the way of alternatives. Oh, you'll find them quite reasonable, she says. You look tired. I'm May. Come inside and we'll talk over a cup of tea. The Ledbetter house feels cramped, with low ceiling and simple fittings, but it is well kept, and a cheerful fire crackles in the grate. The aroma of the tea is soothing, and the cup warms your fingers. Have you come to Everhead for the festival? May asks. Now, you can choose to explain what happened with Silas and the coach, or ask about the festival she mentioned.
I'll ask her about the festival.
Well, no, I suppose the festival is about the only reason folks come to Emberhead. I thought you'd maybe come to study it or take photos. Well, it's not tomorrow night, but the night after. Suppose it looks pretty strange to passers-by. May tops up your tea, spout chinks against your cup. We've got the beacon, you see. One night every year there's a torchlit procession, and we light the beacon on the cliffs. You've never seen anything like it. They say it keeps the spirit of the village alive for another year. It's a celebration. A celebration. She tails off for a moment and blinks. But you didn't come here to listen to me blather. You must be hungry. Can I roast you up a bit of stew? How would that be?
That'd be lovely.
You ask again about her rates, and May names a price so low you accept it without hesitation. The room is small but comfortable, and the stew is dark and hearty. After dinner you have a couple of hours before your usual bedtime. Once again you have a selection to choose from. You can talk to May some more, you can walk around the town to get your bearings, or you can turn in for an early night.
I'll come in early.
As May stands, you hear a clunk behind you. You look over your shoulder, but all you can see is a wooden door securely closed. May tuts. The young lady of the house, she'll be able to listen to us. Ruth, come out and greet our guest. There's a short pause, then the door creaks open. Two wide eyes peer at you from the gap, between tousled hair and a rough nightgown. What do you say? The eyes blink.
Pleased to meet you.
Now get back to bed. The door closes again. My daughter, Ruth, 10 years this summer. She's a delight and a torment all in one. Don't worry, she sleeps with me. She'll not disturb you. Good night now.
Good night.
You retire to your room. It's a little chilly, but you're too tired to worry about lighting the fire. The sheets are clean, the bed soon warms up. The silence outside is strange after living in a town for so long, but you soon drop off. You dream of fire in the grate, coruscating colors shimmering through the dancing tongues of flame. At first they are tiny, almost microscopic, but they grow and grow until a kaleidoscopic inferno spills from the fireplace, spreading across the floor, up the sheets. You wake with a start. Daylight glints through the curtains. You get up and examine the grate, blinking the sleep from your eyes. It's quite cold. May seems to have no running water, but has supplied some in a ceramic jug. You freshen up at the washstand and go in. She cooks a hearty breakfast and leaves you in peace to eat. At about 7:30, you pay up, pack, and ready yourself to go. You bid May goodbye, and she wishes you the best for your new career in Arkham. You are already tired of your heavy bags. Hopefully Silas has repaired the motor coach, and you can resume your long journey. A sourpuss he might be, but the old driver seems to understand his vehicle well enough. You pause to check your watch, still 20 minutes early, and round the final corner. The motor coach is gone. You put your bags down and search the area, trekking up and down the slopes and around the corners. At the edge of the village, you trace the long road back as it winds across the hills. 8 o'clock comes and goes. There is no coach to be seen. A passing villager notices your bags. Looking for the bus. I heard him take off at first light. He's due back here in 3 or 4 days. You might need a place to stay. May Ledbetter rents rooms. The man raises his hat and strolls into the village. You curse Silas under your breath. Perhaps he went for pots, but you wonder if the old goat has strangled you here on purpose.